Okay, welcome to Login Science. In this video, I'm going to talk about naming organic compound, and we are going to see how to name alkanes. This is part 1 of 9. But before that, if you wanna encourage me to keep posting great content for you, please do subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so that you can have these videos coming your way. Okay, let's get started. Let's spend 1 or 2 minutes on definition, and then we can get into naming alkanes. Okay. So what is organic chemistry? Organic chemistry is the chemistry of compounds that contain the element carbon. And what is alkanes? Alkanes are hydrocarbons that only contain single bond between their carbon atoms. What is hydrocarbons? Hydrocarbons are compounds made up of only the element carbon and hydrogen. So you have hydro for hydrogen and you have carbons for carbons. So this is easy to remember. Whenever you see the word hydrocarbons, you should know that hydrocarbons are compounds made up of only the element carbon and hydrogen. And hydrocarbons are divided into aliphatic hydrocarbons and aromatic hydrocarbons. This is often referred to as arenes. Okay, so aromatic hydrocarbons are not part of the grade 12 curriculum, so don't stress about aromatic hydrocarbons. Nevertheless, I'm going to give you one example of aromatic hydrocarbons. So you have one example. You have this, which is known as benzene. You have this aromatic ring, which is made up of 6 carbon. You can count, you have 6 carbon there. So this is an aromatic ring, and this is the simplest aromatic hydrocarbons you can get. So the name of the simplest aromatic hydrocarbons is benzene. Okay, and once again, this is not part of the grade 12 curriculum. And now aliphatic hydrocarbons are divided into cyclic compound, which are ring structures, and a cyclic compound, which are chain structures. So aliphatic hydrocarbons are divided into cyclic compound and a cyclic compound. Okay, cyclic compound are also not part of the grade 12 curriculum, so don't stress about cyclic compound. Okay, so nevertheless, let me give you an example of a cyclic compound. You have this, which is known as cyclopentane. This is an alkane, but in the form of a ring structure. You can see this is a ring structure made up of 5 carbon. So this is known as cyclopentane. Okay, you have many examples of cyclic compound. This is just one example, and you also have many examples of aromatic hydrocarbons. This is just one example of aromatic hydrocarbon. Okay, for the grade 12 curriculum, you have a cyclic compound. You have this one, alkanes. In alkanes, you have single bond between carbon atoms, and you have alkenes. You have at least one double bond between carbon atoms, and you have alkynes. In alkynes, you have at least one triple bond between carbon atoms. Okay, so all these 3 are hydrocarbons. We are going to see other 6 organic compounds. We are going to see that in other videos. As for now, you should understand that alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes are hydrocarbons. And you know that hydrocarbons are made up of only carbon and hydrogen atoms. Okay, in this video, we are going to see how to name alkanes. So the way in which organic compounds are named was discussed by a group of chemists that sat down in a meeting, and this led to what is known as IUPAC. And what does IUPAC stand for? IUPAC stands for International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. Okay, to name an organic compound like this one, you need to first identify the longest chain. Okay, so the red part, which is the shortest, is known as a branch. It can also be called a side chain or a substituent or an attachment. Okay, so you can call this a branch or a side chain or a substituent or an attachment. And now the longest part, which is in green, this is known as a parent chain. So we are going to see how to name an organic compound like this one. So this is an alkane. Okay, if you want to name this organic compound, you have to identify first the longest chain, and if you have any branch, you also have to identify it. And for alkanes, you don't have a functional group, so we are going to talk about functional group in another video. As for now, you don't have a functional group in alkanes, so let's keep that in mind. There is no functional group in alkanes. Okay, first you need to number your carbon in the longest continuous chain. So this is the longest continuous chain that you have. You can see if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, this is not the longest, but if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this is the longest. Okay, should I number it from left to the right or from right to the left? So if I number the longest chain from left to the right, this will be carbon number 1, and this will be carbon number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But if I number it from right to the left, this will be carbon number 1, and this will be carbon number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So which one is the correct way of numbering the longest continuous chain? Okay, according to the IUPAC, you have to number in such a way that the branch is located on the lowest possible number. I don't know if you are getting that. For example, if you number it from left to the right, you can see the branch falls on carbon number 3. But if you number it from right to the left, the branch falls on carbon number 4. So the correct way for this compound, you have to number it from left to the right, because this one, you have the branch falling on the lowest possible number, which is 3. Okay, and this branch has got a name. It is made up of 1 carbon. Okay, let me show you this table. You are going to need it when naming organic compound. This is the table that you are going to use. Okay, let's see how we can name this compound. So you start by naming the branch. So on carbon number 3, you have the branch. You name it this way. So this tells you that on carbon number 3, you have this branch methyl. Can you see 1 carbon methyl? And then you follow it by the name of the parent chain. So you have 6 carbon. So you are going to use X, and then you follow it by the suffix ANE. So it will be hexane. You can see. So the name of this compound will be 3-methyl hexane. Okay, example number 1. Give the IUPAC name for the following organic compound. Okay, so you have A, you have this compound, we are going to name it, and B, you have this compound, we are going to name it, and C, you have this compound. Okay, we are going to use the IUPAC system to name this compound. Okay, let's start with A. In A, you can see you don't have any branch. You just have this long continuous chain. You can see this is the longest chain. So how many carbons we have? You have 1, 2, 3, 4. There is no branch. Okay, so using this table, you have to memorize this table. You are not going to be given it in exam. So this is very simple. Just try to memorize it and it's going to stick with you. So how many carbons do you have in this compound? You have 4 carbons. So according to this table, you are going to use the prefix but, and you are going to follow it by ANE, because you are dealing with alkane. This is an alkane. Okay, so the name of this will be B10. Can you see? You take the prefix but and then you follow it by ANE, and the name will be B10. You don't have any branch attached to this compound. Okay, now let's see question B. With question B, you have to identify first the longest continuous chain. Okay, if I do this 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, so the longest continuous chain will be 4 carbons. Okay, so let me take the straight one. So if I take the straight one, this will be the branch. Or you can do this. You choose this one and this will be the branch. So it doesn't change anything. So let's just take the straight chain, which is this one. Okay, so and this one is going to be the branch. Now the branch is made up of 1 carbon, you can see. So if the branch is made up of 1 carbon, what is the name? The name will be methyl. And the parent chain is 1, 2, 3, 4, which is 4 carbons, and you are going to use the prefix but. You follow it by the suffix ANE. Okay, so now we need to number this correctly. How are we going to number this? Should I number it from left to the right or right to the left? Let's see that. So we are going to number it according to the IUPAC system. So if I number it from left to the right, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I number it from right to the left, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4. So according to the IUPAC system, you have to number in such a way that the branch, this branch, falls on the lowest possible number. So the correct one, if you check, you will see that it will be from right to the left, and this is in blue. Because the one in blue, you can see the branch will be located on carbon number 2. But if you choose the one in red, the branch will be located on carbon number 3. So you can disregard this. You don't need this. So now on carbon number 2, you have this branch which is called a methyl. So it will be 2-methyl. So this tells you that on carbon number 2, you have a methyl group. And what is the name of the parent chain? You have 4 carbons. So you are going to use bute, and you follow it by ANE. So it will be butane. So the full name is 2-methyl butane. Okay, now let's see C. Okay, let me get the table. You have to memorize this table. You are not going to be given it. So this is very easy to remember. You can just check and write it down and try to memorize it. It's going to stick with you. Okay, so now first of all, there is no functional group in alkanes. So what you need to do is to identify the longest continuous chain. Okay, let's see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can also go like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you only have 5 carbons. So let's take the straight chain. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this will be our branch. Okay, so now how are we going to number this? Should we number it from left to the right like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or from right to the left like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see if you do it from left to the right or from right to the left, it doesn't change anything. The branch will still be located on carbon number 3. So in this case, it doesn't matter if you number it from left to the right or from right to the left. Okay, let's name this. So on carbon number 3, you have this branch, which is what? It is made up of 2 carbon, you can see. And this is known as ethyl. You can see when you have 2 carbon, this will be known as ethyl. So you have on carbon number 3 an ethyl, and the parent chain is made up of what? How many carbon? 5 carbons. You are going to use this prefix, which is pent, and you follow it by ANE. So it will be 3-ethyl and then pentane. So the full name is 3-ethyl pentane. Okay, I hope you are getting it. Now let's do some other example. Give the IUPAC name for the following organic compound. Okay, you have example number 2, you have this compound, and then you have example number 3, you have this compound. Okay, let's name this. Let's use the IUPAC system. Okay, let's start with example number 2. First of all, you need to identify the longest continuous chain. Okay, and remember, you don't have functional group in alkanes. Okay, what is the longest continuous chain? So I can go like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you can see if I choose to number it this way: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to have one branch which is made up of 3 carbons, you can see. So this will be a branch if I choose to number it this way: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is incorrect. Why? Because you have to number it in such a way that you get more branches. Can you see if I go straight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I also have 5 carbons. I'm going to get how many branches? 1, 2. Can you see that? If I number it this way: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is going to be a branch and this is going to be a branch. So I'm going to have 2 branches. So according to the IUPAC system, I must number this in such a way that I have more branches. So I'm going to choose the straight one. So the numbering will be done from left to the right or from right to the left. Let's see. You have to number it in such a way that your branches are located on the lowest possible number. Okay, if you choose to number it from left to the right, this is what you are going to get. This will be carbon number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if you choose to number it from right to the left, this is going to be carbon number 1, and this is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you see if you number it from left to the right, you have your branches located on carbon number 3 and on carbon number 4. Can you see on carbon number 3 you have that branch, and on carbon number 4 you have that branch. But if you number it from right to the left, you are going to have your branches located on carbon number 2 and carbon number 3. Can you see on carbon number 2, you have that branch, and on carbon number 3, you have that branch. Okay, so you have to number it in such a way that you have the lowest possible number. So which one is the correct combination? Should you take 3 and 4 or 2 and 3? You can see this is the lowest, 2 and 3. So we are going to number it from right to the left. So you can disregard this one, the one in red. So on carbon number 2, you have this, which is known as a methyl. And on carbon number 3, you have this branch, which is known as an ethyl. You can see that from the table. Remember, you are not going to get this table in the exam. So I'm just using it for this video, but you have to memorize this. You can see on carbon number 2, you have this branch, which is known as a methyl. Can you see? 1 carbon, a methyl. This is 1 carbon. And on carbon number 3, you have this branch, which is made up of 2 carbon. Can you see? Carbon number 3, you have this branch. And this is known as an ethyl. Okay, and the parent chain is made up of 5 carbon. So you are going to use the prefix pent. You follow it by A and E. Okay, let's see that. Let's name that. So you have 3 ethyl, which is this one. You can see it located on carbon number 3. And then you have on carbon number 2, you have 2 methyl, which is this one. And you follow it by pentane. Can you see? Pentane. Okay, so now you may be wondering why 3 before 2. When you have more than 1 branches, you have to name your branches alphabetically. So E comes before M. You don't look at the numbers when you have more than 1 branches, and you put hyphens or dashes between letters and numbers. You can see between letters and numbers you have an hyphen. You can see between letters and numbers you have hyphens. You can see that. So remember, when naming your branches, you name them alphabetically. So E comes before M. So you don't look at the numbers. The numbers are just telling you that on carbon number 3, you have an ethyl group, and on carbon number 2, you have a methyl group. So this is the full name for this compound. It is 3 ethyl, 2 methyl pentane. Okay, now let's see example number 3. This one. Okay, so you have this compound. Remember, this is methyl. So you have a carbon surrounded by 3 hydrogen. Even this one. This is a carbon surrounded by 3 hydrogen. The same with this one. A carbon surrounded by 3 hydrogen. So this is the same as this one. You can see this and this are the same. You can see this is a condensed structure. You can see, but it's the same. Don't be confused. This is the same. Okay, now let's see how we can name this compound. Okay, let's identify the longest continuous chain. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is this the longest? I can also do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 4, 5, or I can do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one. So the longest continuous chain is made up of 6 carbon. Okay, so let's just take the straight one, which is this one. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and this will be branches. So how are we going to number this? Should we number it from left to the right or from right to the left? Okay, let's see. If we number it from left to the right, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if we number it from right to the left, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So according to the IUPAC system, you have to number in such a way that your branches are located on the lowest possible number. Which one is the lowest combination? Is it 2 and 3 or 4 and 5? It is 2 and 3. So the correct numbering will be from right to the left, which is in blue. So you can disregard this one, the one in red. Okay, now another thing that you have to notice is that you have 3 branches which are the same. You can see this one and this one and this one are the same. This is a methyl, and this is also a methyl, and this is also a methyl. but we have 3 of them. How are you going to name this? This is now where you are going to use this table. When you have 3, you are going to name them using the prefix dry. Okay, so let's see that. When you have 3 of them, if you have 2 of them, you are going to use the prefix di. If you have 4 of them, you are going to use the prefix tetra. Okay, but in this case, we have 3 of them, which are the same. So you have a branch on carbon number 2 and 2 branches on carbon number 3. Okay, so how are we going to name this? So if you want to name this compound, you are going to write 2, 3, 3, and then you have 3 branches which are the same. You are going to use dry methyl. Okay, let me write that down. So it will be 2, 3, 3. You have that dash between the number and the letter, and then you put dry as your prefix. Can you see there is methyl? So you can see why did I use dry? Because I have got 3 of the same branches. So it tells you that on carbon number 2, you have a methyl, and on carbon number 3, you have a methyl, and again on carbon number 3, you have a methyl group. So this is why you have to write 2, 3, 3. And now the parent chain is made up of 6 carbon, you can see. So you are going to use the prefix X. So it will be hexane. So the name is 2, 3, 3 trimethyl hexane. And you have that hyphen or the dash between a number and a letter. Okay, let's see the last 2 examples. Give the IUPAC name for the following organic compound. So you have example number 4, you have this compound, and you have example number 5, you have this compound. You can see these compounds are given in condensed structural formula. So let's start with example number 4. Let's identify the longest continuous chain. So should it be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? So this is the longest one. Okay, let's start numbering. If I start from here, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But if I start from here, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see the numbering in blue will be having this chain located on carbon number 3. But for the numbering in red, you'll have this chain located on carbon number 4. So the correct one will be this one, the one in blue, because this gives you the lowest possible number. Okay, so on carbon number 3, you have this, which is a methyl. Remember from the table, so you have to memorize this table. You are going to need it. Trust me, it is easy to remember. Okay, so you have this branch, which is made up of 1 carbon, and this is going to be called a methyl. So you are going to say 3-methyl hexane. Can you see? You have on carbon number 3 a methyl, and the parent chain is made up of 6 carbon. This is why you choose hexane. You follow it by the suffix ane. Let's see example number 5. Now on example number 5, let's identify the longest continuous chain. Is it this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 6. Or you can do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the longest continuous chain is 8. So you have 8 carbon there, or 8 carbon like this. Okay, so let's choose the straight one. Okay, so if you choose the straight one, these are going to be your branches. This one, and this one, and this one. So remember, this is what? A methyl, and this is also a methyl. You have 2 carbons there. So when you have 2 carbons, the branch will be named ethyl, right? Okay, let's see if we number it from left to the right. It will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What if we number it from right to the left? It will be 1 there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can see straight away that the right one will be from right to the left, because this one will give you the lowest combination. So the lowest one will be 2 and 4, not 5 and 7. So the right numbering will be the one in blue. Okay, so the naming will be 4-ethyl. Can you see? You have on carbon number 4, an ethyl, and then you follow it by 2, 4, because you have 2, you have this branch, and then on 4, you also have this branch. You can see these are the same, a methyl and a methyl. When you have 2 of the same branches, remember this table. What did I tell you? You use the prefix di. This is why I use di, and you follow it by the name dimethyl. And you may be wondering why this 4 didn't come after 2 and 4. Remember again, you have to write down your branches alphabetically. So you have E and M. M comes after E. You don't look at the prefix di. Remember, you look at the original name, which is methyl. Now the parent name is how many carbon? You can see you have 8 carbon. So for 8 carbon, you are going to use oct, you can see, and you follow it by the suffix ane. So it will be octane. So the full name is 4-ethyl 2,4 dimethyl octane. Okay, so this is how you name your alkanes. Okay, I hope this video was helpful. If you find some value in this video, don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell so that you can have these videos coming your way. You can see down below is my name and the email address at which you can contact us. If you have any question or anything that you would like to let us know, feel free to use the email address down below. As for now, see you next time and take care.